Getting to our last section in Chapter 5 on quadrilaterals, it's Section 5.5, trapezoids. Our objective today, after studying this section, you'll be able to apply the definitions and identify the properties of a trapezoid and an isosceles trapezoid. Your class opener, describe each shape with as many names as you can. So some of these will have several names that you could apply to them. And one thing it doesn't show in the picture is if something looks like it's a right angle, assume that it's a right angle. Right, a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel, and in this figure the opposite sides that are parallel are going to be called the bases, and the two non-parallel sides are going to be called the legs of the trapezoid. An isosceles trapezoid, a trapezoid with congruent legs. So the bases are still parallel and the legs will be congruent to one another. Theorem 518, base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. So if you have yourself an isosceles trapezoid, the base angles are going to be congruent to one another. Median. The median of a trapezoid joins the midpoints of the legs. So if I were to give you the midpoint of this leg and give you the midpoint of the other leg and I connect them together, that is going to be the median. Theorem 519. The median of a trapezoid is parallel to the bases and it has a length equal to the average of the base lengths. So if I look in down here, if I were to draw in the median again, I know it connects midpoint to midpoint for the legs. It's going to happen to be parallel to the bases, and it's going to be the average length of the bases. So if I told you that the top base had a length of 10 and the bottom length had a length of 20, the median would be the average. And we know to find the average, you can just add them up and divide by 2 and get that the median would be 15. All right, going through some problems. X, Y, and Z are the midpoints of the sides of isosceles triangle ABC. You can see that it's isosceles because AC and AB both have a length of 10. Explain why XZBA is a trapezoid. So let's look at XZBA. Okay. Well, I know that it's a trapezoid for this reason. A trapezoid just has to have one pair of opposite sides parallel. And I know that since X and Z happen to be midpoints of the sides of a triangle, and if I connect the midpoints of the sides of a triangle, that side happens to be parallel to the third side of a triangle, which is going to guarantee me that we have a trapezoid. Okay. Number 2 says name two trapezoids other than XZBA, which is the one that we just drew in here, and it's really going to be the same sort of situation based on the other sides. So I know that if I look at this, that we were told X, Z, and Y were all midpoints. So XY should be parallel to BC, which is going to give us a trapezoid like this. I also know that if I look at YZ should be parallel to AC, so I get another trapezoid right there. Number 3, name an isosceles trapezoid and find its perimeter. Well, an isosceles trapezoid is sort of easy to find. And if you think about it, it's sort of like an isosceles triangle where you cut the top of it off. So if you can imagine looking over here and seeing our isosceles triangle and cutting the top off of it, you're going to get an isosceles trapezoid. And we want to find its perimeter. Well, let's see. I know that from C to B is 8, it's right in the diagram. I know that CX, since X is the midpoint, is half of AC, so that should be 5. Likewise, YB is half of AB, so it's 5. So the only thing left is to find how big XY is. And I know that when I connect the midpoints together, it's half as long as the other side of the triangle. So since CB is 8, XY is going to be 4. Now we just need to add those values up. 4, 5, 8, and 5. If you add all of those together, you're going to get 22. Find the length of the median of each trapezoid. Well, I know medians are the average of the bases. So if I look at number 4, one base is 6, one base is 16, add them up and divide by 2. So adding them together would give me 22. Divide by 2 is going to give me a value of 11. Number 5. Trying to find the median and the bases. So the first thing to realize would be that the bases have lengths of 5 and 10. The other two sides, I know that I have a median because it's connecting midpoint to midpoint of the side. So now I just need to find the average of 5 and 10. So add them up and divide by 2. Adding them up is 15. Dividing by 2 is going to give me 7.5. 16, looking for the bases. One of the bases is 11 minus x. The other one is 11 plus x. So adding them up and dividing by 2. Well, if I add them up, the minus x and plus x cancel each other out. So I'm just left with 11 plus 11, which is 22. And 22 divided by 2 is 11. Next set of problems. Draw the trapezoid described. If such a trapezoid cannot be drawn, explain why not. So number 7, a trapezoid with 2 right angles. So let's see, a trapezoid with 2 right angles could look something like this, where I still have the top and bottom parallel. 8, trying to draw a trapezoid with both bases shorter than the legs. Right? So all I need to do is draw small bases and long legs. So if I have something like this, I can have a trapezoid where the bases are both shorter than the legs. Number 9, with congruent bases. Well, if I draw bases congruent, and I know the bases also have to be parallel, well, that means it's going to be a parallelogram, because a parallelogram said one of the ways to know if it's a parallelogram is if one set of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. And if it's a parallelogram, then I have 2 sets of opposite sides congruent, which means it can't be a trapezoid. So this one we can't do. Number 10, with 3 acute angles. Let's think about this. Trying to get 3 acute angles inside of a trapezoid. Well, I know if I draw my standard trapezoid like this, I get 2 angles that are obtuse, and I end up with 2 angles that are acute. And if I think about it, I know that these 2 consecutive angles are same side interior angles, which means they have to add up to 180, which means if one of them is acute, the other one has to be obtuse. So if I tried to do that on the other side, the most I can do is get 2 angles acute, because then 2 of them would have to be obtuse. So here's another one that we can't do this one either. It's not going to be possible. Draw a quadrilateral such that exactly 3 sides are congruent and 2 pairs of angles are congruent. Okay. Well, as soon as I see the 2 pairs of angles are congruent, I'm thinking that I need an isosceles trapezoid, and 3 sides congruent just means I'm going to make one of the bases the same length as the 2 legs. So if I start by drawing myself a base, and then to try to draw the legs the same length as that, so I should be able to have 3 sides congruent and 2 pairs of angles congruent, which would mean these 2 are congruent, and then up here would be congruent, and I had myself an isosceles trapezoid. Each diagram shows a trapezoid and its median. Find the value of x. Well, I know for this, if I add up the bases and divide by 2, it equals the median. So I'm going to write this whole equation out. So if I add up the bases, x plus 21, and divide by 2, it should equal the median, which is 13. And I'm just going to solve this problem by cross multiplying. So if I cross multiply, and I'm going to multiply this way first, I get 1 times x plus 21, which is x plus 21. And that should equal, multiplying diagonally the other way, 2 times 13, which is 26. Subtract 21 on each side, and you get that x is 5. Over on this side, going to do the same thing again. I'm going to add the two bases, divide by 2, and set it equal to the median. So if I add the two bases together, I'm going to do that part in my head. 3x and the 2x are going to add to give me 5x. The plus 2 and the plus 1 are going to add to give me plus 3. So there are the two medians added. Now I'm going to divide by 2 and set it equal to the median. And I'm going to put it over 1 and cross multiply. So if I multiply this way first, multiplying by 1, I know it doesn't change anything. So I get 5x plus 3. I'm going to set that equal to, what do you get when you multiply diagonally the other way? So think of distributing the 2. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to move all the variables to the left side. So if I subtract 4x on each side, I get x plus 3 equals 8. Subtract 3 on each side, and x equals 5. Closure question for today. Finish the sentence. I already knew that